Tonight, sharing his experience, Tony Blair visits Perth to inspire our business leaders. New number plate recognition technology will be used to identify drug users. Great to have your company.
Also on the news, the Animation Festival kicks off in Hong Kong and NASA's spacecraft Juno is prepared to explore Jupiter.
Tony Blair arrived in Perth yesterday to finish his 3-day tour in Australasia. The aim of this trip is for him to share his unique insights and experiences in leadership, negotiations and innovations with the audience. Tight security measures are being imposed in both inside and outside the Perth Convention Centre, where Mr. Blair speaks to the public. The event began as the former British Prime Minister Tony Blair was warmly welcomed to the event. During his speech, he shared his views of the world in the 20th to 21st century. Tony Blair also shared his experience whilst Prime Minister in the UK. He explained that everyone in the world must undergo and keep up with change. On a lighter note, he admitted that he didn't have a mobile phone until he finished his prime ministership in 2007. During the Q&A session with the audiences, he answered various questions regarding worldwide politics, religion and culture, China's development and the news of the world scandal. He believes a healthy relationship between politics and media is developed by clearly separated news reporting and commentary. Mr. Blair also says that violence will always be an obstacle to any peacemaking process. The security was very tight here at the Perth Convention Centre, as the only registered guests or journalists can go into the venue. They only allow press photographers to take pictures during the first 5 minutes of his speech. There were also approximately 50 protesters who rallied outside the convention centre against Tony Blair's decision to invade Iraq and the pro-Western support of Israel. Ivan Leung, DHK News.
The new number plates recognition technology now enables police to scan motorists' criminal records, outstanding fines and vehicle registration, plus many more details. Sergeant Steve Palmer says the new technology allows officers to target those drivers who deserve police attention.
WA Police have started using a new number plate recognition technology to spot suspected drug users and then searching their cars. While WA Police have been using license plate identification technology for some time now, what has changed is that before, when a license plate is picked up, it identifies if a car is registered, who the car is registered to, and if there are any outstanding warrants. But now, the computer also details any prior offences. So if the driver has a prior drug conviction, police can use that as a justification to search the vehicle. Sergeant Steve Palmer said the motorist's conviction provided police with reasonable suspicion necessary to conduct the search. However, Shadow Police Minister Margaret Quirk argues that it is not legally permitted.
Well, to search a vehicle, police need to have a warrant or they need to have reasonable suspicion that an offence has been committed. In this case, they have neither. If police want to do that, then we need to change the law. If they don't want to change the law, then they should stop doing it immediately. It is breaking the law.
On Tuesday morning, police set up the technology at the Mitchell Freeway off-ramp at Power Street and scanned almost 4,000 cars, charging 18 drivers who were driving either an unlicensed vehicle or without a driver's license, and 4 with drug possessions after the technology flagged them as having a prior drug conviction. Shibs, DHK News.
The refugee deals between Australia and Malaysia is being signed this Monday as the federal government is trying to avoid asylum seekers approaches Australia by boats. But the human rights activist Gerry Geogatos has criticised the deal and accused the government of sickeningly mad as the political landscape worsens in Afghanistan.
The health of asylum seekers has once more become a key issue as a refugee deal was signed between Australia and Malaysia. The deal comes as detainees in Darwin and Christmas Island stage hunger strikes in protest at the delays in processing and the conditions that they are kept under. Nearly 100 people have taken part in a hunger strike that ended this week at the Shurga Detention Centre. Gerry Geogatos of the Human Rights Alliance in Perth says that the conditions in Australian centres are deplorable and that many have threatened self-harm and suicide to be free of the persecution they feel. Others have dug shallow graves and covered themselves in dirt as a symbolic gesture. Geogatos also warned that there is a risk of more deaths after the detainees are released.
My great concern is that people who are going into the detention centre experience are coming out worse than what they came in, and that we will actually have in time more deaths outside of the detention centre experience post-release as a result of their time inside. They don't have unfettered access to mental health experts, and they don't have unfettered access to community. They are being deprived of human contact, and they are being kept in the most squalid, incarcerated conditions imaginable.
In light of the increase, the Commonwealth Ombudsman has launched an inquiry into suicide and self-harm in Australia's immigration detention centres. The country's chief ombudsman, Alan Usher, said he was alarmed about the impact of long-term detention on mental health after more than 1,000 cases of threatened or actual self-harm were reported in the first half of the year. The inquiry would examine the root causes and consider practical steps that the department and its service providers should take to reduce such incidents. Moyukh Muzahid, DHK News.
The annual Hong Kong Animation Festival kicked off yesterday after the book fair ended at the Hong Kong Convention Centre. Hundreds of teenagers and young adults queued up early in the morning in order to purchase the limited edition animation models and souvenirs.
The Animation Comic Game Hong Kong Fair opens on Friday at the Convention and Exhibition Centre at Wan Chai. Hundreds of fans were queued up last night for today's opening for the 30th Animation Comic Games Fair at the Hong Kong Convention and Exhibition Centre. Some were domestic helpers, while several others, including a boy who said he was paid Hong Kong $30 an hour to stand in a 500-story queue, were there to ensure comic readers can be early in line to snap up limited edition products. The first 600 visitors each day during the festival, which closed on Tuesday, will receive a certificate allowing them to buy their favorite products reserved exclusively for early birds. There will be more than 170 exhibitors in about 500 booths, but the organizer, Donald Tsang Enterprise, is not saying if it expects the number of visitors to top last year's record of 6,800. John White, DHK News, Hong Kong.
The Chief Executive Donald Tsang has moved to defend his administration after a senior mainland official criticised the SAR government for lacking long-term vision. Writing on his Facebook page, Mr. Tsang says both civil servants and politically appointed officials always serve Hong Kong with its long-term benefits in mind. He added that the next policy address in October will seek to address social problems including surging property prices, a widening wealth gap, and an ageing population. Mr. Tsang's remarks came after the Director of State Council's Hong Kong and Macau's Affairs Office, Wong Guang-ah, says the colonial rule has trained civil servants to listen to the boss without taking long-term approaches to social issues.
NASA's No-Man spacecraft Juno is prepared to launch after the Space Shuttle program was axed due to high running costs. Juno is due to arrive on Jupiter in 2016 to help us unravel the mystery of its formation and understand whether the biggest planet in our solar system has a rocky core.
Yeah, the truck rolled out of Astrotech facility early this morning.
The robotic probe Juno will spend 1 year cycling inside Jupiter's deadly radiation belts, far closer than any previous orbiting spacecraft. It will learn how much water the giant planet holds, what triggers its vast magnetic fields, and whether a solid core lies beneath its dense, hot atmosphere.
It represents giant planets, as we know, around our star, as around other stars, and it holds a lot of key secrets.
One key missing piece of information is how much water is inside a planet, which Juno hopes to establish. Scientists believe that Jupiter, which circles the Sun 5 times further away than Earth, was the first planet to form after the birth of the Sun. Juno's launch is scheduled for August 5, and it will take 5 years to reach the giant planet. Herbert Ramos for DHK News.
And this is the moment we've been long waiting for, isn't it?
Yes, that's right. And Jacob is back from a long holiday and he joins us with the latest sports news.
And it's good to be back, and welcome to the evening sports. Saudi Arabia again handed Hong Kong a heavy defeat in round 2 of Asian qualifying for the 2014 World Cup, beating them 5-0 at Suyusai Wan Stadium. Hong Kong defended well in the first half, only conceding a single goal in the 34th minute. But the floodgates opened towards the end, with the Saudis scoring 4 goals in the last 20 minutes. Saudi Arabia beat Hong Kong 3-0 in the first leg and win 8-0 on aggregate. And a quick reminder of the AFL match tonight will be Gold Coast vs Collingwood at the Metricon Stadium in Gold Coast. And that just reminds me that Ivan must be celebrating the West Coast Eagles' 1-point victory over the Fremantle Dockers. See you next week.
Thank you, Jacob. And it's so wonderful they can almost see what I'm thinking, but not quite. And that's how the world looks tonight.
See you same time next week. Good night.
Good night.